Live. Hooray, we are live. Welcome, my friends, to our book study group for Monday, March 14th. John Lavenia here with you. And let's see, we got a few people tuning in. Tonight, we are starting the first week out of 4 for the amazing and incredible and mind-boggling, I'm sure you guys have been enjoying it, Pitch Anything by Oren Klaff. How's that frame working out for you guys? Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. So good to see you, Missy, Bob, Catherine, Daisy. Sure, we'll have a few more tuning in here any moment.
Are you Jonathan?
What's that? Oh, I'm not the Jonathan he was talking about. No, that wasn't me. That wasn't
You could be.
I don't know. These guys are running billions of dollars through corporations and stuff. I haven't played that.
I'm talking about the way your mind works.
Yeah.
Let's get through the BS and let's get to the.
Right. Well, you know what? Here's the thing, guys, and let's open this up for discussion. Here's the thing. When we talk about winning frames or dominant frames, which is the second chapter that we hopefully all read, a lot of that just kind of comes up when, like, Missy's obviously thinks a lot of me, and I have a frame that I run without even thinking about it. So keep that in mind. Now, a lot of this, though, like the power frame that he talked about, also it correlates with like rudeness or being, egotistical. So I hope that I've been a bit more accommodating than that. That's my intent. But I'll tell you what, you get busy, guys. Just before I opened up the room here, I was closing a deal. I actually had to cut off the deal mid process, okay, because I just didn't have time to transact. I'm gonna call you back in an hour. Sorry, I got to cut off this deal. Person's buying a high level coaching program. And I'm going to have to call you back in an hour. That's going to be 10 o'clock my time. You're 3 hours behind me, so that should be fine for you too, right? Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Great. So was that a demonstration of frame or prizing, right? Yeah.
I'm on the hook point. The hook point.
There you go. So there's so many words that you guys just got. Your vocabulary just got bigger, right? So well done. Who's got some ideas on this? I know, Missy, you've been digging into this book. You started early because as soon as I mentioned Pitch Anything, you were like, I'm grabbing a copy of that right now. So what do you think, Missy?
Well, I think that I thought that I could never sell anything ever.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was part of my DNA. Mm-hmm. And although I'm not high on the chart yet, in a certain area of business, I know that I can. Mm-hmm. And but I see I've been making some mistakes, and I thought there was only one frame when I got to a success level, and I have to be able to move that around a little bit, and it's just experience. That's all it is. And the book, thank you. But when I do it right, I do it really good.
Yeah, you do. Right, and part of that is. And we could call it like a no nonsense approach, which I think is what you recognize in me. Part of that is your intelligence, okay, because you're no dummy. And the other part of that is necessity level, right? I mean, we have less time to quibble or Q&A when there's urgency upon us, right? So some of that frame just occurred for you. And think of it like this: you've got people who let's say were born into wealth. You've all, I'm sure, heard anecdotes of, here's the trust fund baby who then squanders their, inheritance because they've not developed the skills for themselves. We could even get biblical with this, right, Bob? I mean, this is like biblical stuff here. So now they confront someone who has intent and more knowledge than they do. And they are able to be controlled. Whereas, the person who never really had to dig in and figure out how stuff works and had to make stuff work for themselves, they pretty much, they don't have, even though they may have the ego, they don't necessarily have the upper hand. Hi, Janet, Linda, Llama King. Good to see you guys. I see
Grandpa
Stuart's,
Llama King. Grandpa.
Stuart's owning his title. That's cool. So yeah, guys, this is breakthrough stuff. Now, one of the reasons I love this book is that I've taught, to whatever degree I've successfully taught it, this thing called posture for years. This was something that I learned, oh my goodness, a couple decades ago when I was newer in sales, where I was experiencing a lot of people, a lot of needy people, my colleagues, other business associates. They were so desperate, so needy. And so one simple way of teaching people to not occur as so needy was to talk to them about having a posture, which we could call a relaxed confidence. And I would explain that in ways, and I have in some of our sessions here, I would explain that in the words non-attachment. That's a posture, non-attachment. And you'll see throughout the book, even in high stakes situations, like with the farmer guy, right, who was going to lose $600,000, lose his life savings, right, with the crooked guys who then later got raided and all that. They were running a Ponzi scheme. And he should have known better. Although he's an avocado, was he farming avocados or something? So why would he know better? He's an avocado farmer. Okay, but here's his entire life savings in the hands of con artists, right? And so here comes, he brings in Oren to come and like get his money back. And it worked. Okay, so, and that was in that case, right? That was a posture, that was a relaxed confidence using moral high ground, using the analyst crusher frame or whatever he called it, right? So here's the guy that wants to be cool, calm, and collected. And here's Oren saying, wait, let me get my business partner on the phone, and then putting him on speaker and saying, tell me about how we get the FBI here and the raids and the SWAT teams. Go ahead and tell me more about how we need to do that, right? With the hotshot guy, the analyst guy listening in, like he had nowhere to go. And his father bailed, right? His father was out the back door. You guys read this? I mean, did you put yourself in these situations? Could you see the boardroom? And can you see, as you go through the book, right? He's going to talk more about pricing and stuff. Here's the gatekeeper, which he just pushed right past the gatekeeper, started throwing open doors. Where's Don McClark or whatever the guy's name was? Where is he? Right? Like he owns the place. This takes some chutzpah, right? Yeah. Stuart, I need a deliverable every 15 minutes. I need a deliverable every 15 minutes. Oh, we got you another 10,000, right? So now here they are supplicating, right? Propitiating, please, here's another 15,000. Don't call the SWAT team. It started with, here's all our logical reasons why you're not getting the money, to 6 hours later, you've got all your money. And then they got shut down 2 weeks later. Wow. Right? Balls of steel. Let's just call it what it is. All right. The floor is open, you guys. I know this is the first time through this book for many of you, so I'm very interested to hear your impressions of this. This is my third time through. So, and I could use some practice. How many hours did Oren say when Mr. Big was asking him, what
10,
just happened here? 10,000 hours he's invested into mastering this stuff. So for our friends who are new to the whole world of conveying your ideas, winning the deal, presenting, persuading, and winning the deal, don't be disappointed with yourself if you've been studying this stuff for a couple of weeks, or hey, you got a couple months under your belt now, you closed a couple of deals, but you haven't arrived or anything. No, that's all right. 10,000 hours.
But now I know the people that I'm not successful with gain control over me, and I haven't been understanding how it was happening.
Mm-hmm.
It was blowing my mind for a long time, because then I'm so successful with somebody else, and the next person just gains control of the situation, which is what you're able to do at any time, because you must have 20,000 hours in.
I've got a few hours in it. Now I haven't applied it in the way of like venture capital and investing like this guy has, getting, CEOs to cough over, $100 million, right, in an hour. Maybe I should, right? Maybe that's where I should be headed. I will say that the fun of it. Notice that he interwove fun with this. It wasn't mean when he's breaking someone else's frame. It was done playfully. When he took the drawing, here's the guy ignoring him, tracing his hand on the back of the presentation materials. Did you guys read that? Give me that, Steve, and takes it out of the CEO's hand. This is a nice drawing. How much would you sell it to me for? So go ahead and go be egotistical now and tell me how much this is worth, which means nothing. But I just broke your power frame by doing something defiant and unexpected. Now, can you do that? Here's the question, everybody. Can you do that if you're needy, desperate, trying to, play the power game and offer deference and supplication to the master because you need them? No. So he's going to get deeper into pricing here. What's the prize? The prize is the deal that only I can give you. And so where Missy gives me credit for being able to control frames like that, and this is another thing which I've shared with you all in various sessions, it's that I sell it to myself first. So when somebody, let's say the customer, gets me on the phone, within seconds, they know who they're talking to. I'm sold. So I know I've got the golden goose. Okay. Hopefully for their sake, see, here's the posture. Hopefully for their sake, they take me up on my offer. But I'm good. I mean, I'm already good. I don't need them. All right. You guys getting this? You guys getting this? This is the best explanation of posture I have ever read. God bless Oren Klaff. So in fact, he's got websites and stuff. I haven't bought any of his courses. I probably should, but he does like workshops and stuff where, and they break down different sales pitches, hot seats. Linda, you deserve a hot seat session with Oren Klaff. It'd be like, yeah, stop right there. Wrong. And like, well, he'll break your frame. And like, oh my goodness. It's fun. I can imagine. Right. Who else has some thoughts on this? Pitch anything. First 2 chapters. Just come on out, guys. We've got 8 of us here with us tonight. So chapter 1 was the method, where he explains the method, and he gives us an acronym, STRONG. Right? Let's review that real quick. Crap, where's the acronym? Somewhere in here. I'm using a paper book, which would probably be better if I was highlighting stuff on a screen for you. STRONG. All right, so here's the acronym. To make the process easier to remember, I use the acronym STRONG. Set the frame. S, set the frame. T, tell the story. R, reveal the intrigue. O, offer the prize. N, nail the hook point. And G, get the deal. So one of the things he talks about here in this book, since nobody else is talking yet, when he gets into frame control, chapter 2, where does he say it? The part where this is what happens below the surface of every business meeting you attend, every sales call you make, every person-to-person business communication you have. What's he talking about? Only one frame will dominate after the exchange, and the other frames will be subordinate to the winner. They do not coexist. They are opponents. Now, don't confuse this with the mindset that your customer or client is your opponent. We can think win-win, but in this play here, in this dance that we're doing, there will be a dominant frame. What's the one very obvious one that he gave as an example here in chapter 2? The police officer. Okay, so they've got there's a frame that's already established there with exhibits. Here's the badge, here's the gun, here's the flashing lights on the car. You're not going to break that frame. that frame has instantly broken yours. Oh, I didn't know I was speeding. Any logic or any part of that, I mean, isn't going to break that frame. And he talks about the crocodile brain, right? You guys, you got this, how 5 million years ago or whatever, that part of the brain was developed, which is what? Survival. Big, hammer, right? Big meat, right? Not the subtle nuances and not even the relationships, right? So here's the croc brain, as he calls it. And then there's the other sections. I don't have to remember all the names of it. We could still work with it, even if we're not, reciting. All right, here we are, the midbrain and the neocortex. So he's not even getting that scientific with it either. But here's the midbrain, which has to do with associations and relationships. And here's the neocortex. Here's the subtleties, the nuances, the analyses, things like that. But we've talked about plenty of times the idea that all sales are based on emotion. Okay, great. In fact, I remember relating the story to you guys at one point. I had this interview with general manager of this corporation, and I was looking for a sales job. And he sat me down for my interview. He said, all right, John, first question, when somebody buys, is it based on logic or emotion? And I said, emotion. He said, okay, second question, what percent of the time? I said, 100. He said, you're hired. That's it. That was the whole interview. Okay, so we're dealing with the croc brain, and we justify and reconcile with neocortex. Fine, and again, I'm not like a brain guy, but here's here's their explanation of it. That seems to hold water for me. I like that. I like that. So if we can get into these other things where he's talking about in his acronym. Think to whom are we speaking? Set the frame. So that's something that will establish in the croc brain dominance or non-dominance, right? Tell the story. Oh, well, now we've got a story, right? So we're getting into relationships there. We're getting into some of that midbrain stuff. Reveal the intrigue. Oh, back to the croc brain, right? Excitement, fight or flight. Fear or fancy, right? All that kind of stuff, the intrigue. Offer the prize, hope for gain, right? So why are mice used in laboratory experiments? Because they have the same sort of binary drive that humans have. Here's hope for gain or fear of loss, right? So seek pleasure, avoid pain. Here's the cheese. Here's the cat. We want cheese. We don't want cat. Okay. So in your pitch, right? And as a sales guy, everything's a pitch. Okay. Even just pitching your idea to your daughter to clean a room or something, right? It's all a pitch, but there's a prize and there's also pain. So we want to activate those neural receptors or whatever in the croc brain with the prize. Nail the hook point, right? So we're nailing it. There's emotion involved. Right? When you think about nailing something, it's not just, I explained it. There's a saying, facts tell and stories sell. So we're going to nail it and then get the deal, obviously, get the deal. Okay. Which, by the way, I'll just say anecdotally, I've worked with plenty of people who did great presentations, spectacular. They knew their stuff and they never asked for the order. My goodness. I heard one sales trainer once talk about how he tagged along with a bunch of newbies and found that was the one thing that it was like 80% of these new guys didn't do, was ask for the friggin' sale. Hand them the contract and a pen. Just ask for the sale. And if you're doing it online or whatever, or over the phone, right? I mean, I just did this. I did twice today. Did you want to use Visa or MasterCard for that? Well, all right then. That's called asking for the sale. Or I know we've got a lot of people here in the shopping club world. Can I set up your wholesale account today? Well, yeah, set me up with great. Well, let's do that. I mean, the whole point of this is to get the deal, right? Transact. And we must not be shy about that. You can't take people through the whole damn tour and then not ask for the enrollment, for the offer, for the transaction. Again, that's just another lack of posture. I mean, look, if you're sold yourself, if you know that it's good and right for this person to take the prize, which you just offered them, and close the damn deal. All right, I'm done talking. I'm already 20 minutes into this. Oren Klaff got me fired up, as if James Allen didn't do enough. And I needed this, by the way, guys. I needed this today. I need to go through this book again. I've had an interesting day. It's not over yet. Anyway, please, somebody else talk. Somebody who hasn't talked yet, which is everybody except Missy. Somebody talk. Oh, I just put everybody to sleep. See that? Hey, Linda.
Hi, John. Well, I only got through chapter 1. I didn't get to read chapter 2.
Oh, you're just getting warmed up.
I know. But yeah, it's interesting. And you had me. I just went and looked him up, and he has a podcast, and he's got some free classes, and so now I'm interested in checking that out. But yeah. Yeah, and as far as the shopping club thing goes, it's easy to get them to sign up and join the club. For me, it's closing, getting them to shop. I got 7 people in there. I haven't shopped yet.
Okay.
That's like, so,
keep
and
in
it's
mind
a long
too,
process. It's a long process, John. So,
well, you're new to that process, but I'll tell you what, Linda, you're doing very well, and you're just getting going. Right. So, but here's the thing too. Sometimes high stakes are easier to work with than low stakes. I mean, how much intrigue and emotion and holy crap, right? We got to do. How much can you do that with something low ticket and mild and whatever, right? So understand that when the stakes are higher, also there's a bit more urgency that can be induced on that. Okay, so what we've got to do, in fact, Catherine just asked me a question today about getting people to move, right? So great, do it. How do you do that? Well, hope for gain, fear of loss. Those are the 2 drivers. Which one, by the way, Linda, which one do you think drives people more? Hope for gain or fear of loss?
Fear of loss.
Fear of loss, correct. Fear of loss. So you're about to lose this thing. Okay, so in the case of a limited time discount, right? Why are there limited time or limited runs or limited editions, right? Why is that? Exclusivity, scarcity. Okay. So if you could take away something, and maybe it's not even you taking it away, maybe it's you just stating, hey, guess what's going to happen? This is about to go away.
Right.
Well, holy crap. Why don't we just get off our ass and like capture, the benefits while they last?
Yes.
Good
stuff. I pitched that over the weekend too. Got one person to move, so
that's infinitely better than 0.
Right. Yeah. Oh.
Good times. Get into chapter 2. You got to learn about framing, because the whole frame, like what he said here in the book, is that all of the oh man, this is great stuff, guys. I will recite since nobody else has their microphone hot right now. He was talking about all of these books that came out about sales tactics and techniques and all this kind of stuff, because people couldn't get the frame. Now they gotta go and do all of this other dance. Here it is. For decades, there have been many books and seminars. There are more than 35,000 on Amazon promoting methods to persuade, influence, cajole, and browbeat customers into making rapid purchase decisions. Many years ago, when the promoters of these programs realized how inefficient their methods were, they explained it away with the law of large numbers. Their typical promise is make 100 sales calls using our sales technique and you will land 2 sales. In other words, work much, much harder than everyone else and you will get a 2% success rate. But really, what kind of success is that? What these sales gurus are missing is this. When you fail to control the social frame, you probably have already lost. All you can do then is fight for survival by fast talking, spin selling, trial closing, and a myriad of equally ineffective and annoying tactics that signal to the customer that you are needy and desperate and defeated. Wow. So, what do you guys think about that? Nothing. You don't think anything about that. All right, I think I'm going to have to switch to the Kindle version of this so I can highlight stuff and throw it on the screen. Wait, here comes Stuart. Here he comes.
Here he comes. Dude, I love this. First of all, I love this because and I appreciate the reason why I think you chose this book for us is because we have kind of been diving deep into mindset and more philosophy and character building and things like that. And this is really practical how to big shift. And I really have loved these two chapters. I'm sure the rest of the book is going to be amazing as well. Being a nerdy science guy, I'm digging all the neuroscience and the croc brain and the reptile brain and the fight or flight. And he talks about how one of the biggest mistakes that we make is that we put together our presentation with our higher brain, with all of our overstanding of our subject material, and that we expect that somebody else is going to interpret that with their higher brain. But the reality is that they're interpreting it with their survival reptile brain. And, there's really only 2 or 3 parameters in there, right? Is this a threat? Can I eat it?
Mate with it, right?
Can I mate with it? Exactly.
Or ignore it. Or ignore.
Right.
I want to ignore you now, right?
Right. If it's not a threat, then you want to ignore it, right? So that's where the intrigue factor comes in. I really love how he kind of gets into the frames, and he talks about like every social interaction is a clash of frames, and a clash of frames is always a battle to the death, right? Or however he put it. And that the stronger frame always absorbs the subordinate frame. I like the anecdote in the first chapter where he talks about he tags along with a buddy to go pitch the billionaire, and the guy's like, I got this. And then, the billionaire guy asks him one question, throws him off his game, and he drops his papers and blah, 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 and he doesn't know what the hell he's doing. And all that stuff is fascinating to me. And while I don't come from the corporate world, I don't come from boardrooms and business meetings, I do come from spending a lot of time with social interaction with our customers and our clients, right? At least, pre-ecom. And, there's on almost a daily basis, when I'm gathering everybody around and giving the orientation about where we are, what we're doing, and, what's up with the llamas, and, what are the rules of the wilderness, and, safety wrap, and all these kinds of things. And I'm very aware that I have a huge amount of information to try and relay to people in a very short period of time. And the way to do that in a way that's entertaining, intriguing, personal, all these kinds of things. And so when he talks about you got the half-hour pitch and you really want to have it done, in 20 or whatever it is, or then somebody's like, oh, well, I only have 10 minutes. Oh, well, I only have 8. I love that whole, name that tune kind of thing that he does where, it's like, I can pitch that in 2 minutes or whatever. And the whole thing about boiling everything down to its most essential ingredients. What do you say? Be simple, be clear, non-threatening, intriguing, and novel. Get to the point fast. Use strong summary points, right? Says it's not about procedure. It's about keeping people's attention, right? Mm-hmm. And just the whole concept of the clash of the frames is really fascinating to me. And I hope he goes deeper into these things, right? So we have the power frame where, it's the self-important person who doesn't really care about anybody else, thinks it's all about themselves, and how to break that, right? How to bust the power frame, I thought was interesting. And I have my own experiences because a lot of our guests are, let's say self-described, important people, that, I'm sitting around, a bunch of rocks out in the wilderness trying to, share information with people. And I can tell if I'm losing people right away and how do I gain people's attention, or, if I'm in the middle of my safety wrap and somebody's just kind of spacing out, and how do I kind of bring people back and say, hey, this is important. You want to know what's going to happen when the bear jumps out of the, bushes and comes at you and all sorts of people, or whatever. But I love the way he talks about using defiancy and denial, and just but mixed with humor and good-natured approach, so that you're not threatening or offending people, but you're trying to invoke, wow, this person really knows their stuff, or this person's a pro, or even, and again, I spend a lot of time in the backcountry with people that spend a lot of time in boardrooms, right? And and there's a bizarre thing that happens where those high power people can relate, and they, and whatever that is, it goes back to the self-reliance in the Emerson thing. And then all of a sudden you're attractive to people. And that goes back to our friend James Allen as well. I don't know, I took a couple other notes here, the hard sell where he talks about always be closing, and then he flips it to always be walking, right? And always be ready to walk. And I love the part where he's in the boardroom or he's in the meeting and, oh, Mr. Big, can't make it today. And, he interprets that as, oh, well, I suppose I was just going to be the entertainment, for the group this morning or whatever. And instead of being on the defensive, he's like, I'm not going to start. We'll wait 10 minutes. And then if not, we can reschedule or whatever it is. And I just love all the aspects of how to reclaim the frame. I don't know if it says that. Vocab word.
In that example though, Stuart, he was like, I'll give you 15 minutes to get organized, and then I've got to leave.
Right.
All right. And then if you do leave, okay, I'll be happy to reschedule, but it'll have to be at my office.
Right. You put it on your turf.
Right. So now you can come entertain me.
I like where he says, if you're cutting it, if you feel like you're losing people, the mistake that a lot of people make in a presentation is then you kind of speed up and you feel like, oh, I got to get through the rest of my presentation and I got to get all this information out. And he says, no, that's absolutely wrong. It's totally counterintuitive. What you want to do at that point is just kind of do the Costanza, drop the mic, wrap it up. Thank you very much, whatever, or, hit your last few points and don't, because if you get to that point where you put yourself in a weaker position, where then you're just trying to wrap it up, or you're talking fast to try and get through all the points that you thought you had. This is obviously skills to master in this, and what do you say? Up to 90% of the information in a presentation is typically lost from your mouth to the audience's ears. Right, Kitty, Catherine. Yeah, loving it. Love it.
Good. Thank you. I'm excited that I get to share this with some of the most cherished people in my life. So thank you guys for digging in on this. And look, this is going to serve you. I mean, Stuart just gave us an example of how it serves him out on the rocks, right? So here's the, you may have a lot of altitude in the boardroom, but we're not in the boardroom. We're in my boardroom now, right? And if you want to survive, like, I'm in charge here. So he doesn't necessarily use those words. But one of the things you just said, Stuart, which was so huge, was keeping people's attention. The cardinal sin of marketing is being boring. Don't be boring. My goodness. And so analytical types like myself, and we talked about this a little bit in general session today, about the 4 different so-called quadrants, right? The driver, the analyst, the enthusiast, and the plotter, right? So the driver in me is probably more dominant than the analyst in me, but behind closed doors, I analyze stuff. So then I can be, more of a driver and show up as like, I already know where we're going with this, because I had to do my analysis. Other people don't. Okay. But that's the hard one where Stuart was saying, you know what, I just need to talk faster and give you more of my neocortex, which isn't connecting with you anyway. So let me give you more of it. Spray and pray. And I've done it. Right. I know what that sounds like. I know what it feels like to have lost the frame, to have not established the prize.
Mhm.
Janet, come on now, my friend.
Yeah, hi. I realize thank you, John. I have kind of spot read this, so I don't have, massive things at the moment, but I like it a lot. And I can see where actually I do this when I teach, because there are students who want to take over the room or want to prove how much they know or whatever. And that's great. I do like sharing and all that. But there's times when I've got stuff I want to impart. And so I didn't know I was doing this. Okay. It's like, okay, yep, I'm writing it down. We'll get to it. Yep. I hear your question. We'll get there. We need to go through some other stuff first. So acknowledge, be nice, maybe be funny. I like that he uses the approach of being funny and being light, because people kind of relax a little bit with that. It's not all tense. It's like, oh, let's have some fun. Let's have some relationship. Let's have something. And then, but goes on with his frame. So I like but I recognize that, oh, I'm instinctively doing some of that. And when I call someone on the phone at a credit card company or whatever it is, I instinctively say, so what's the weather like where you are? Because they can't really reveal who they are or where they are and stuff like that. So I'll do a little bit of personal interface, and everybody kind of, okay, now we're friends and we're talking, and now we can get on with business. So even though I haven't seen myself do sales really well, I like that at least I'm identifying with a little bit of what he's saying. So that's good.
Yeah. Well, definitely read the book, not just spot reading, but get into it, because we want you to close deals, get paid, right? I mean, you're very affable. That's nice. Let's get you some money.
Yeah,
right?
I'm in with that.
Yeah.
I'm in with that. I'm going to apologize. I'm going to leave at 10 till. So.
Oh, no worries. No worries.
I have another
Wow.
meeting. Sorry.
37
Thank
minutes
you.
gone already. Bam.
Yeah. And Bob and Missy have a "Can I ask a question" thing in the chat.
No, you can't, but you will anyway. Go ahead. Yes. Where's Missy and Bob?
I just want to know if let's say Jonathan is Donald Trump, and maybe you have already pitched the deal to him. I don't know, but forget about the presidency, all that. Just would you, with all your experience?
Uh-oh. Poof, and they're gone.
Yeah, would you go away?
What just happened?
They're there.
Here they come. Wait.
It's the government.
Oh, yeah.
I just want, I said
Donald Trump, and immediately they shut off your internet service.
But I was wondering if you had to pitch a deal, either representing somebody or for yourself, to Donald Trump, and he was giving you 10 minutes of his time, would you be nervous? Or could you maintain you would?
Of course. If I didn't know what he wanted, right? So keep in mind too, you're talking about, now here's a known personality. Jonathan, I don't know who Jonathan was. That was a made up person. Or a made up name for a real interaction that happened. Okay. Although he did say that the person tends to sue and right. And all that. And we know that Trump has a history of being litigious. So what would I do? I would research to the best of my ability Why would this person want whatever I'm offering? Why would they want to participate? Now, in the case of Trump himself, right, here's a guy who's also been exceedingly generous. He doesn't suffer fools, okay? But also, you guys ever know the story about he was in his limo heading down to Atlantic City, and the limo got a flat, and some guy pulled over to help fix the tire, and the next day his mortgage was paid off. True story. Okay. So just some local guy in the middle of New Jersey somewhere, and Trump paid off his mortgage. So, which was no big deal to the Donald, right? I know it was 100,000, whatever it was. We're going back to the 1980s, I think. But still, anyway, don't watch the fake news to have expectations of what that guy is like. You know that already. Anyway, if that's what you're asking me, Missy, do I think that Jonathan was actually Donald Trump? I don't know.
No,
I don't
I'm
know.
asking if you could maintain your posture in front of Donald Trump.
I
Called
could.
you Jonathan.
I asked him that. You were late, Grandpa.
Yeah. So, could I maintain my posture? The answer is yes, because I'll be as prepared as I can be based on whatever win-win offer that I was offering. That being said, I haven't had that opportunity, and at this point, I don't have anything to offer that would warrant such a meeting. Although, I mean, look at other people. If we're using real-world personalities here and not made-up names, okay. But, why do some people, gain the audience with, someone, a billionaire, for example? I can tell you what, there's a billionaire who I've gained audience with a couple times, couple billionaires, right? And it's because I also had something they wanted. So pricing, it comes down to pricing. Now, when you're in a situation like that, I will just tell you that it's all relative, right? Because here's someone who has a certain amount of altitude relative to other people. Well, it goes in both directions. So if you're going into an interaction, whether it's a sales meeting or whatever it happens to be, just remember that you're better or higher on the hierarchy than they are in certain areas of life. So put to bed any of these pedestals and preconceived ideas. I mean, for Oren Klaff to go and to take the drawing away from Steve or whoever the guy was, right, the CEO, when he was basically ignoring him and tracing his hand, right, for him to do that and do it with flippancy and fun requires that thing that I always come back to, non-attachment, that posture, that relaxed confidence, where he doesn't need the sale. He doesn't need the deal. And so one of the things that Trump himself talked about in The Art of the Deal, which was one of his first books, maybe his first book. Yeah. But what he talked about was having those instincts, and just the first lines out of that book is, I don't do it for the money. First line out of Art of the Deal, I don't do it for the money. So there's a sense of purpose and play that goes along with this that makes the whole thing alive. And then, yeah, there's money, there's a result, right? Deals, transactions are made. But, and we're not reading Art of the Deal right now, but it might be a good one to put on your reading list. A lot of it's very anecdotal. The first, I think, half the book is just all about his daily routines, right? You get a look into the life of this guy, and it's like down to 5 minute meetings, right? And then interesting that they, I guess he kind of logged everything he did for a week, right? Down to like 5 minute kind of things. But when you're busy and successful, here's the thing, guys, when you're busy and successful, you value your time. So regardless of where you feel like you're at in terms of, back to this book, frames and pricing, which more of the stuff you're going to read about, if you can do that as the person, this is thinking from the end, Missy and everyone, we've read some Neville Goddard, right? So thinking from the end, living in the end. Okay, so you're busy and successful. Before you pick up the phone, I don't care if you have a goose egg on the sales board, nothing, you've sold nothing. You're busy and successful before you pick up that phone. You got to get this. Okay. And there's a saying, when's the best time to make a sale? Right after you made a sale. Because as soon as you made the sale, well, it's like, man, I rock. I'm freaking awesome. Well, let me call somebody else now. Be that person before you call the first person. That's the trick, right? Be that person in advance. Be, do, and have. Be, do, and have. You guys remember that story? And we'll go back to Stuart. It was a story that we had talked about some months ago of the guy who's down on his luck. He's trying to sell door to door, whatever he's doing. And his wife calls and says, don't worry, hon, because we just won the lottery. So no worries, go, do what you're doing. It doesn't matter anyway. We just won the lottery. And suddenly the guy has a, lift in his step and his head is up and he's closing sale. Right. And then he gets home and he wants to see the winning lottery ticket. And she says, April Fools, I heard you were having a bad day. I thought I would cheer you up. Okay. So once he was done strangling her, the question is, was that feeling of, enthusiasm, was that, that higher emotional state, was that real? Yeah, it was real. Was the data false? Yeah, the data was false, but the emotions were real. He was the guy who just won the lottery and he sold. Does that make sense, you guys? Llama King, what do you think?
I just love it, man. I just love this whole thing so far. I've never really had to be a sales guy. For much of my life, I just had to put a picture of a llama with an 800 number on it. And the phone's been ringing off the hook for 30 years or whatever it is. And, since I got into e-com, and largely, I think, a lot of my growth in marketing has come from my relationship with you, John. And I want to thank you for that. But just understanding the basic concepts, which really before I started the mastermind with you, I never took a marketing class or an advertising class or anything like that. My father was, a CEO and all this stuff. And I feel like I absorbed a fair amount of that just through osmosis. But the understanding of benefits versus features and all these things that we talked about in the early days and how to present that. And now I'm busting my ass working, listing products, writing descriptions and all these kinds of things. And so whether, I'm not necessarily making cold calls or sales calls, but in a way I feel like I am, at least in copy. And so a lot of this stuff to me, translates to writing copy as well. You only have so many words, so many characters, a search engine description, a product description, an Amazon listing, whatever it is. You only have so many characters to get your points out, figure out how you're going to craft that in a way that not only conveys, the information you want to, but how do you grab that person's heart? How do you grab their emotions, right? And how do you, mix all that together with what, you want somebody to feel, right? I remember learning a long time ago, you think about like Subaru commercials or whatever, they're not selling cars, they're selling love, right? Or whatever, their advertising campaign was at the time. And I think that holds true with all of the best selling brands, right? And I used to say that anybody that, watched television or looked at, print media with, what would you call it? A literate eye, with a discerning eye, would have the ability to be a good marketer, be a good advertiser, because, if you can step out of it and realize, how, you're being sold, right? And I know that, if you can't figure out the product's you or whatever, but, if you can figure out the product, that's part of the gig. And I think by taking yourself out of the equation for a moment to realize how those techniques are being used, right? And then we can then absorb that and kind of put that stuff to use. But anyway, I'm just finding this very practical for where I'm at right now in my life, and figuring out how to make use of, the keeping it simple, keep it concise, tell a story. That was, and I'll just say this last thing about the second chapter, about breaking the analytical frame, right? And he's like, walk into every presentation with a story, predetermined. Doesn't have to be a different story for every gig. It's your one story or whatever it is. And if people start dialing down into the minutia and start over analyzing, well, how do the numbers work on this or whatever, right? And like that's like the death of a presentation is what he said. And so, you have to do your best immediately to break that frame and turn it around, and gain control again. And so, he drops this story about the airplane and the different thing. And of course, I got my own stories. I'm sure we all have our own stories. But, I like that it's about telling a story, be relatable, make it about yourself, create some intrigue, create some suspicion, and then make it a cliffhanger. And then like you're in the middle of the story and you're like, and so back to the thing. And like people don't know how to deal with that. And I thought that was amazing. So yeah, I'm all about it.
You got their attention now. And if you want the punchline, stay tuned. Right. I mean, think about like the whole open loop scenario of like TV shows and stuff. How do they keep their ratings up? They never finish the story. It's an incomplete cycle. It's never done. Right. So I did some work with a guy, in fact, an author. He wrote Shifting Sands, Why to Use a Compass Instead of a Map. This is a guy who traveled across the Sahara Desert, and Steve Donahue. And he would do his keynote speech. And I've hired this guy a couple of times to do keynote speeches. He's really good. And he'd bring his bongo. He has this like, I don't know, like the bongos that are kind of long, and maybe it's not called a bongo, whatever that kind of drum is. And he'd be out there on stage banging on the bongo, telling the story of when he was going across the desert. And then he met the Tuaregs, the traveling gypsy, and they're killers, man, the Tuaregs, right? And then the one said, come and, come to the fire and all this. And you guys want to know what happened next? I'll tell you when we're done with this presentation. And then like, everybody's like, oh, holy crap. Right. One guy asked him after a keynote speech, well, did you survive? And he's like, yeah. I did. Did you survive the Tuaregs? All right. Good times. Hey, kludge. We have a kludge here between our neocortex and our croc brain, right? That was a word that came up. You guys dug that. Stuart, you dig some of that? I had to look it up too. Kludge, an ill-assorted collection of parts assembled to fulfill a particular purpose. So to me, that means a breakdown, right? So where he was talking about, if you send a spreadsheet to somebody that you made on Excel or whatever the software is, you would expect it to be opened and read in Excel. Well, guess what? We're not running Excel here. We're running Croc Brain. All right. So much for your spreadsheet. Catherine, you have some thoughts?
Yeah, I didn't make it all the way through the second chapter yet. But what I did was just really good. And when Stuart was talking earlier, about doing the copywriting and all that, is I write in my spare time as well. And so I've been studying how to write novels. And I realized how much this relates to that, when you're doing the analytical stuff, you don't want to get logged down in backstory because you lose people. It's like they don't care. They want the emotion. They want to know what's going on. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting correlation there. And I'm really feeling hopeful, I guess, to find out that you can learn how to do sales. I always thought it was just something that you either had the talent or you didn't. And I always thought, I don't have that talent. I can't do it. But now I'm like, maybe I can. I mean, if I can write stories that capture people's attention, it's the same thing, really, isn't it?
Same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. You're selling an idea. In fact, in the film world with special effects, there's a part of their parlance is to sell the effect. All right. So let's say, for example, green screen, right? So a chroma key background, and here's the spaceship flying through space, right? Or Superman flying through the air, right? So you're obviously not, what you see as the viewer is, the clouds and, or the stars out in space or whatever it happens to be. But they sold the effect. They made it look real to the point where you bought it, right? Like I'm seeing spaceships right now. You're not, you're seeing a little piece of plastic behind a green screen and lighting, and that's it. That's what you're seeing. But they sold you. So the whole idea of selling, keep in mind, guys, the title of the book is Pitch Anything. So if you get his formula here, you're going to be able to pitch anything, whether it's your story or, whatever idea you're offering to somebody else, or here's the shopping club membership. Here's the best bath bombs in the world. People buy all the time, and they love to. They hate to be sold. They love to buy. So how do you make them love to buy? Well, you just give them what they want, which they, a lot of times with the croc brain and whatever resistance and fear and, I need to run now, or can I eat it or mate with it or whatever? A lot of times you just gotta dig in to the point where you're hitting those nerves. People buy for their reasons, right? And so we got to get into communication with that part of their personality that's actually making the decisions. And then, of course, substantiate with neocortex. Here's the facts and figures and whatever you need. But like Stuart brought up before, Catherine and everybody, when they went in to see Mr. Big or Jonathan or whoever the character was, and he crushed that guy's frame like that with 20 words, right? All I want to know is, what are your expenses and how much are you paying yourself? To me, that sounds like I'm really not interested. You might as well just said, I'm really not interested. Although they showed up for the sales meeting and the guy just totally dominated the frame. So, by the way, he never gave us a way out of that, right? How do you overcome that, right? Where the person's clearly not interested in all of the nuance and stuff. So in that particular situation, the only thing I could think of, just from where we're at so far in the book, the only thing I could think of is go ahead and say, I'm going to give you exactly what you're asking for. In fact, more than you're asking for, because I know that here's what you want. So if that guy walked into that meeting without a good idea of what this person wants out of this deal, then they're just going to go ahead and crumble and drop their papers and everything else, like Stuart had reminded us, right? Because they don't have the prize. I'm going to have to establish the prize right then and there. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to give you my expenses and what I intend to pay myself. And I'm going to give you, here's the prize. I'm going to give you let's say in the example of an investment, I'm going to give you an opportunity to get 60% return with almost no risk. Shall I continue? So in that case, he may have captured a bit more attention. Or I'm going to give you, because this guy's egotistical, and I'm going to give you the opportunity to have exclusive rights on that, whatever the thing is that they were offering. Egotistical people who feel like they're the king of the universe, right? They like to feel like they've got something nobody else has. So give them that. This is high stakes stuff, guys. So now that we've read the first 2 chapters, and if you haven't, please do, and then read 2 more, because we're going to get together again next week. Now bring that down into what you're doing at whatever games you're playing, because it's a game, okay? But see, lower stakes, right? Is anybody working on $100 million deal right now? Anybody? No? Catherine? No? Okay, great. The pressure's off. Now go have some fun. Look, you just read about all these high stakes deals. Now you just get to go play. Go make $100,000 or something this year, right? And do it without stressing yourself out, and do it by winning these deals, because nothing happens till somebody buys something, which means nothing happens till somebody sells something. And I think by the end of this month, or these 4 weeks, which is going to cross over into April. Okay. So by the end of our reading of this, you guys are going to have so much more meat and tools and ammo, right? And I'll tell you what, you'll never, well, you can if you want to, but looking at a customer like they're in control. Yeah, I think that's all going to change. It's changing already. So tell you what, if I show up on the rocks with Stuart, I'm the student, man. I'm the student. I want to survive this deal, right? So I'm coachable now. He's instantly got the frame. Okay. Just like the cop that pulled you over instantly has the frame. So those are extreme examples, but I hope they serve you. Guys, any other closing thoughts tonight? Again, thank you for taking this journey with me. I'm excited because he's just getting warmed up. Of course, chapter 2 is pretty beefy. Okay. But each one, you're going to see how his acronym strong, right? How it comes together, and you get to be really strong with this. So anyway, love you guys. Have a great week. Of course, this is brought to you by the paying members of the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. If you're seeing this on YouTube, go to jlsuccessmastermind.com. Grab yourself a free trial membership, and you're guaranteed to love it. So we all good? Anybody else?
We're all good. Thank you, John.
All right, my friends. Have a great night. We'll see you soon. I'm going to go transact now. I got somebody waiting to hand me money. I'm going to go